Hey bees, I'm Marie from Humblebee and Me, and I think you're going to find today's DIY to be really useful. Probably because you're the kind of person who likes to reuse jars and containers and things to put concoctions in. Because I know I'm definitely that kind of person, and it's so annoying when you have this beautiful, perfect jar that you know would just be amazing for your latest body lotion or body butter or something, and you can't get that label off. It comes off in like the teensiest, most annoying little like shreds of paper. It's not even the whole sheet of paper. It's just like a fraction of a couple molecules of it at a time, and it's so frustrating. And you eventually kind of feel like you have to get rid of the container because you couldn't get the label off, and that feels stupid and wasteful. So I'm here to help. Today's recipe is for my magical sticky label goo, and it helps break down the adhesive that holds sticky labels onto containers so that you can scrub them off and use those containers again. So come on, let's get started. We'll start by measuring our ingredients into a little half cup mason jar. So that holds about 4 fluid ounces. So in here I have 25 grams of canola oil, and you can use really just any inexpensive cooking oil. Like remember, this is a cleaning product. Like don't choose something lovely and expensive. Choose the cheapest thing that you have, since this is just a cleaning product. So 25 grams of canola oil or whatever, 5 grams of beeswax, 5 grams of d-Limonene, which is citrus terpenes. This part is optional. You could just use another 5 grams of canola oil if you want, but it does help with the performance. And then 1 tablespoon or 20 grams of baking soda. So now we're just going to pop this in here, and this is just a little saucepan that's got about 1 inch or 3 centimeters of water in the bottom of it. And I'm going to go pop this on the stovetop over medium heat for 20 to 30 minutes until everything has melted through. So it's been about half an hour and everything has melted through, so we can ditch our water bath and start to give this a bit of a stir. So we want the we want the baking soda to be evenly incorporated throughout the concoction. So we will need to sort of come back and give this a couple stirs as we go, and at the beginning you're going to need to break up some little clumps of baking soda, so using your spatula to kind of smash them up against the side of your jar is quite useful here. And I'm going to move the dishcloth now because I don't want to insulate this any longer because I want it to cool. So I'll leave this for a couple minutes and sort of come back and give it a stir, and eventually we'll reach a point where it's actually going to start to thicken and cool quite quickly. But we are definitely not there yet. So I will just give this a couple more stirs to try and really break up those baking soda clumps. And I'll just leave it for a couple minutes and come back and check on it. So it's been just a couple minutes and you can see the baking soda has already settled to the bottom and needs to be reincorporated. So this is why we have to come back and give it a few stirs as it cools to make sure that the baking soda remains incorporated and distributed. This is finally starting to thicken and get some viscosity to it, so I'm finding that the baking soda didn't settle out as much between this break and the last one. And it's starting to thicken as it comes up this side and kind of solidify a bit there, as you can see. And so kind of from this point on, it tends to be a pretty rapid progression from still liquid to creamier. So I'll just kind of keep stirring it here, making sure to scrape off my spatula, pick that up, drop that back down, and just kind of keep going like that. So at this point in time, the baking soda is pretty much staying in suspension, so I'm not too worried about coming back to stir it as frequently as I was before. You can see that it is becoming quite viscous and sort of maybe pudding-like. I obviously didn't quite break up all those clods of baking soda, but I'm also really not that fussed about it because, again, this is a cleaning product. It's not like it's going to be an inconsistent experience of massaging it into my skin, because I'm not going to be massaging it into my skin. I'm going to be putting this on like old bottles and lids and stuff. So not too concerned about that, and I would advise you to be equally easygoing. But I'm going to leave this to sort of finish setting up for about 20 minutes, and then we will do some label blasting. Now that this has thickened up, we're ready to give it a little bit of a test run. So this is actually the lid that I'm planning on using for this project. So this is a handy little thing. So the first thing we're going to want to do is get rid of as much of this paper as possible. This is just a butter knife. Obviously, be careful. Usually, actually, I would use a little sort of scrapey spatula kind of thing, but mine are all in the dishwasher, so can't do that. All right, so that's good enough. So let's slather some of this on here. And we're just gonna leave that to soak for a while, because we want the oil to have a chance to really permeate the label and start working on that adhesive. So it's been maybe half an hour. A really good time to let this soak is actually just overnight. You can see that the label has become translucent, which is good news. So a little bit more scraping, and then we can just get in there with a sponge, and that'll get rid of the rest of it. So that took up the rest of most of the paper there quite easily. I've just got, usually this would be my sink, but we are not in my kitchen. So I've got a sponge here with a bit of detergent on it. Well, and there you go, just like new. That's not actually any adhesive left. It's just I've sort of scraped off some of the coating on the metal there, and that will happen with plastic too. You will sort of find that the plastic can get a little bit scratched, especially if you're using a scrubby sponge, but it pulled off all the adhesive and isn't sticky anymore, which for me is the biggest thing. So there you go. That is how to make some magical sticky label removing goo and how to use it. So thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe and check the description box below for the full written recipe and links to everything that I use. See you next time.